Sometimes, stepping away from a draining relationship is the most loving step you can take for yourself and ultimately for the other person as well. Being alone might seem daunting, especially when society whispers that solitude is a sign of inadequacy. Yet there is a gentle truth that being on your own, even for a season, can be far more enriching than staying in a partnership that doesn't honor who you are. If you've ever wondered whether it's truly better to walk alone than cling to a love that stifles your spirit, know that you're not the only one. Many of us have wrestled with the question, is this relationship uplifting me or eroding my confidence? And sometimes, the mere thought of leaving, of facing an empty home or quiet weekends, can be so overwhelming that we choose to remain stuck. But there is profound inner growth in consciously deciding to step away from what is wrong for you. In the next few sections, you'll discover why embracing solitude can be a catalyst for self-discovery, deeper healing, and healthier bonds in the future. We'll talk about releasing the emotional weight that often accumulates in mismatched relationships, exploring how to nurture yourself in ways that allow real peace to blossom. Think of it like cleaning out a cluttered closet. Once you make the space, there's room for clarity and the things that truly align with your heart. No matter your background or life stage, it's never too late to choose your own well-being. Today, let's walk together through the reasons solitude might be the more radiant, affirming path, and how, in learning to stand strong on your own, you invite the most loving connections possible down the road. As we begin, gently remind yourself that you are allowed to prioritize your happiness and emotional safety. Affirm softly, I deserve relationships that honor my worth. And it's safe to walk alone if that path leads me to deeper peace. Join me as we embark on a journey of understanding why sometimes it truly is better to be alone than in the company of someone who dims your light. There's no shame in choosing yourself, only liberation. Let's see how a foundation of self-love can guide you toward relationships that complement, rather than compromise, your inner radiance. A relationship blossoms from the soil of self-love. When you deeply appreciate who you are, your strengths, flaws, quirks, and all, you set the tone for how others treat you. In contrast, if you enter or stay in a relationship believing that you're incomplete or unworthy, you inadvertently invite imbalance. You might cling to someone out of desperation rather than mutual respect. You may have heard that you cannot give what you do not have. This is especially true in love. Trying to nurture another person while feeling depleted or unappreciated is like trying to pour water from an empty pitcher. Sooner or later, resentment, doubt, or exhaustion creeps in. Yet when you cultivate a compassionate relationship with yourself, you bring a robust sense of wholeness into any partnership. This doesn't mean you're never vulnerable or that you don't rely on each other at times. Rather, it means you respect yourself enough to ask, is this situation truly healthy for me? And to walk away when it isn't. Boundaries are often misunderstood, but remain a critical facet of self-love. Setting a boundary isn't about shutting people out. It's about clarifying where your comfort ends and your discomfort begins. In a fulfilling relationship, boundaries are acknowledged and even celebrated because they define the unique individuals who are choosing to connect. But in a dysfunctional dynamic, boundaries are often tested or disregarded. If someone dismisses your emotional needs, belittles your concerns, or continuously crosses lines you've expressed, that's a sign you might be with the wrong person. You might ask, is it selfish to insist on being treated well? The answer is that self-care and selfishness are not the same thing. Taking care of yourself ensures you can show up more wholeheartedly for others. If you continually sacrifice your well-being for a connection that drains you, you risk losing the vibrant, loving essence that makes you who you are. Affirm, I honor myself and I deserve relationships that reflect my inherent worth. Just saying those words might stir feelings of relief or even bring tears if you've long compromised your worth for someone else. It's okay if these emotions surface. They indicate that you're ready to acknowledge you deserve respect, kindness, and consideration. When you truly value yourself, you're less likely to remain in a dynamic that feels draining or toxic. Instead, you cultivate the courage to be alone for a while, trusting that solitude is a space to heal, rediscover your passions, and nourish your heart. Over time, you transform the fear of being single into a peaceful acceptance of your own company. And paradoxically, that inner fulfillment often draws in a more uplifting romantic partnership when the time is right. So let self-love be your compass. As you move forward in life, keep returning to that guiding question. Does this relationship reflect the care I'm learning to give myself? If the answer is a consistent no, it may be time to step away, trusting that being alone can be a stepping stone to a more genuine and joyful connection later on. A relationship that doesn't align with your true self can be surprisingly draining. Even if it's not overtly abusive, the subtle frictions and misunderstandings accumulate, quietly undermining your sense of peace. It could be the way your partner dismisses your interests, criticizes you in small but frequent ways, or refuses to address important emotional issues. Each time that happens, you might feel a twinge of uncertainty or sadness, gradually chipping away at your confidence. This emotional toll can manifest physically as well. You might notice tension, headaches, or fatigue that doesn't quite make sense. You could lose your appetite or find that your sleep is restless. That's because the mind-body connection is powerful. Prolonged emotional distress impacts how your body functions. In a relationship where your emotional needs aren't met, or worse, are actively disregarded, your physiology often rebels, sending signals that something isn't right. Over time, staying in a misaligned partnership can also blur your sense of identity. You might begin to edit your personality, hiding certain opinions, interests, or authentic behaviors, just to keep the peace. Such self-censorship might seem harmless at first, but the longer you do it, the more disconnected you become from your genuine self. Eventually, you could wake up feeling like a stranger in your own life, unsure of what you enjoy or believe without someone else's input. It's also common to experience persistent mental chatter in such relationships, with thoughts like, I need to change to make this work, or maybe if I try harder, they'll finally appreciate me. It's normal to want to salvage what you've built, especially if you've invested time, energy, or even built a life around this person. But holding on solely out of fear of starting over can perpetuate a cycle of emotional strain. If you find yourself in this space, know that it's okay to acknowledge the toll it's taking. Affirm gently, I am worthy of relationships that support my well-being, and I give myself permission to recognize when a situation is harming me. This recognition doesn't make you weak. It makes you honest and open to healing. Leaving or considering leaving a long-term partnership is never simple. It involves grief, uncertainty, and possibly guilt. But once you see how deeply it's draining you, both mentally and physically, awareness becomes the first step to liberation. By admitting that something is fundamentally off, you free yourself to explore other options: counseling, a mutually respectful dialogue about changes, or even a choice to part ways if those changes aren't possible. In the short term, being alone can feel painfully silent compared to the noise of a failing relationship. Yet that very silence can be the balm you need to recover your emotional and mental equilibrium. In the next section, we'll explore how solitude can help you rediscover the spark of who you truly are, away from external pressures and compromises that no longer serve your spirit. When you're constantly adapting yourself to meet someone else's demands, it can be easy to forget who you were before that relationship began. Maybe you once loved painting late into the night, reading stacks of novels, or going on spontaneous road trips with friends. But somewhere along the way, those passions slipped to the background. You might tell yourself you just grew out of it. Yet deep down, there may be a hunger to rekindle these parts of your identity. Being alone can give you the spaciousness to revisit those forgotten hobbies and interests without judgment. No longer tethered to another person's schedule or preferences, you can spontaneously decide to pick up a paintbrush or dance around your living room to the music you enjoy. This isn't just a pastime, it's an act of self-remembering. Each time you explore a passion, you reconnect with a lost piece of your spirit. Independence also brings a new level of responsibility and empowerment. You become your own source of validation. Want to travel? You can go without worrying whether someone else disapproves. Want to change jobs or learn a new skill? Now, the only limits are those you set for yourself. Initially, this can be intimidating. There's no one to blame if things don't go according to plan. But over time, it becomes exhilarating, fueling a sense of freedom you might not have felt in a while. Moreover, this period of solitude allows you to cultivate a deeper sense of self-trust. When you rely on your inner compass, you discover that you're capable of navigating challenges on your own. Whether it's figuring out your finances or handling unexpected car repairs, each little triumph bolsters the belief that you are strong and resourceful. That sense of empowerment often gets overshadowed in an unhealthy relationship, where you might feel dependent or overshadowed. As you rediscover who you are when you're not defined by a partnership, you also create fertile ground for future relationships, if and when you choose to pursue them. The more you embrace your independence, the clearer you become about what you actually need and want from a companion. This clarity helps you discern compatible individuals who appreciate and support your uniqueness, rather than trying to mold or diminish it. If you feel uncertain about who you are without a partner, try a gentle journaling exercise. Write down activities you once loved, traits you used to admire in yourself, and dreams you put on hold. Allow yourself to explore these memories without judgment. You might be surprised at how many positive qualities lie dormant, ready to resurface. Affirm, I am reconnecting with my true self, and it is safe for me to express my individuality. Embrace the liberation that solitude can offer. In the next section, we'll address a common hurdle, the fear of loneliness that often paralyzes people into staying in relationships that no longer serve them. it's natural to fear being lonely. Society often glorifies romantic partnerships, painting a picture of happily ever afters where two people fulfill every need the other has. We see it in movies, hear it in love songs, and might even believe it's the ultimate goal. So when the possibility of being single looms, it can trigger anxiety. What if I spend every weekend alone? What if no one ever loves me again? However, loneliness isn't a punishment. It's often a signal that deeper emotional work or personal exploration is needed. There's a difference between being alone and feeling alone. Being alone is a physical state. No other person is present in your immediate environment. Feeling alone is an emotional state, tied to a sense that you lack meaningful connections or support. You can feel lonely in a crowded room or right next to a partner if that emotional bond is missing. Conversely, you can experience profound contentment while spending time by yourself if you have cultivated a supportive inner world. One way to start shifting your perspective on solitude is to treat it like a precious opportunity. Instead of seeing it as a void, see it as a space that can be filled with self-care, creativity, and new learning. Consider picking up a hobby that intrigues you. Maybe it's cooking, painting, or volunteering in your community. Engaging in fulfilling activities not only brings joy, but also helps you realize that you don't need a partner to feel enriched. Another helpful approach is to gradually replace negative self-talk with affirmations that celebrate your independence. If you catch yourself thinking, "I'm all alone, and that's terrible," you could reframe it into, "I'm exploring new facets of who I am, and this moment of solitude is helping me grow." While it may feel strange at first, consistent practice can reshape your inner narrative from one of lack to one of empowerment. You can also strengthen your support system through friends, family, and like-minded groups. Building non-romantic connections fosters a sense of belonging and reminds you that companionship comes in many forms. You might realize that genuine friendships can be just as nurturing, sometimes more so, than a forced romantic bond. If you still wrestle with deep loneliness, consider adopting mindfulness or breathing techniques. Even a brief daily meditation can calm the anxious chatter of the mind, making room for peaceful acceptance of the present moment. In that clarity, you may see that being single is far less frightening than being stuck in a draining or disrespectful partnership. Affirm gently, "I release my fear of loneliness, trusting that solitude can nourish my heart and reveal my strength." By reframing loneliness, you transform it into a pathway for healing and self-discovery. Next, we'll dive into the underlying patterns and limiting beliefs that can keep you trapped in unhealthy connections, even when you long for the freedom of being alone. Have you ever found yourself drawn to the same type of person repeatedly, even when that relationship dynamic ultimately leaves you feeling undervalued? This cycle is often rooted in past experiences and limiting beliefs. Internalize stories about what you deserve and how relationships should feel. Perhaps you grew up witnessing inconsistent or toxic behavior as normal. Or maybe you internalized messages that told you you're unlovable or must settle to avoid being alone. These beliefs usually operate beneath the surface. Consciously, you might say, "I want a caring, respectful partner." But subconsciously, a voice might whisper, "That's not possible for me," or "I need to compromise if I want any companionship at all." Recognizing this split between your conscious desires and your hidden convictions is the first step toward change. You can't heal what you don't acknowledge. One powerful approach to healing these patterns is mirror work, a simple yet profound exercise. Stand before a mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and speak gently about what you truly need from a relationship. If self-critical thoughts arise, like "who am I kidding?" notice them, breathe, and continue asserting your right to healthy love. Over time, repeating affirmations in front of a mirror can help reprogram your subconscious mind. Instead of believing you must accept crumbs of affection, you begin to see that a fulfilling relationship is your birthright. Journaling is another tool to shed light on hidden dynamics. Write about your earliest memories of love and security. Were you encouraged to express your feelings, or did you learn to suppress them? Did you witness your caregivers model mutual respect, or was there conflict? By gently exploring these questions, you can uncover how your past shaped your present-day choices. Compassion toward yourself is essential here. You didn't choose these patterns arbitrarily. They developed as a response to your environment. If you realize that certain beliefs no longer serve you, like "I have to endure someone's bad behavior to be loved," take a moment to release them. Affirm, "I let go of outdated beliefs. I am free to choose relationships that uplift me." You might imagine those thoughts as clouds drifting across the sky, watching them float away until your mental horizon is clear. This process of healing isn't always quick. You might recognize an unhealthy belief yet still feel it tug at you. That's normal. Like any habit, limiting beliefs can persist until you consistently replace them with more empowering perspectives. The key is patience and kindness toward yourself as you do this inner work. Each time you question a negative assumption and reinforce a positive one, you chip away at the old foundation and build a new, more supportive one. As you heal, you'll find the fear of being alone diminishes. Rather than feeling desperate to accept any partner who shows interest, you become open to waiting for one who truly resonates with your self-worth. In the next section, let's explore how you can cultivate inner joy and openness, so your life feels expansive and satisfying, regardless of your relationship status. Imagine waking up each day with a calm sense of anticipation, knowing that whether you spend time with friends or in peaceful solitude, your heart remains fulfilled. This is the essence of cultivating inner joy, an unshakable contentment that doesn't hinge on someone else's presence or approval. And when you carry this joy within you, the allure of the wrong relationship fades, because you no longer need external validation to feel complete. A powerful way to nurture inner joy is through a daily gratitude practice. It can be as simple as listing 3 things you appreciate each morning. These can be mundane or profound, like the warmth of sunlight, a restful sleep, or the chance to read a favorite book. Over time, you train your mind to see the good that's already present in your life, rather than fixating on what you lack. This mental shift fosters a balanced outlook that supports emotional resilience. Another aspect of inner fulfillment is nurturing a spiritual or mindful practice. Whether it's meditation, nature walks, prayer, or any form of reflective silence, give yourself time each day to tune in. In that stillness, you learn to observe your thoughts without becoming tangled in them. You create a sanctuary within, a place where your sense of self remains unaffected by relationship drama or external stress. Physical self-care also plays a part. Exercise not only strengthens your body, but also releases endorphins that boost your mood. Choosing nourishing foods can make you feel vibrant, and getting adequate rest supports emotional equilibrium. When you treat your body well, you send a message to your subconscious that you are worthy of care and kindness. That message can ripple outward, affecting how you handle emotional boundaries and relationship decisions. Creative expression is yet another avenue for building joy. Painting, writing, cooking, dancing, singing, whatever stirs your soul, provides a natural release of pent-up energy, turning potential stress or loneliness into something uplifting. If you fear you're not good at these activities, let go of perfection. Focus instead on the process, the texture of paint, the rhythm of movement, or the aroma of a meal you're preparing. As you weave these practices into your routine, you'll discover an expanding sense of openness. You might become more curious about new experiences or more willing to meet different kinds of people. Ironically, when your happiness no longer depends on being in a relationship, you attract higher quality connections. You radiate a sense of wholeness that appeals to those who respect and cherish your independence. Affirm, "My joy flourishes from within, and I share it freely with the world." Let these words remind you that the richest emotional life is formed from the inside out. In the next section, we'll delve into the idea of building a new and lasting relationship with yourself. An internal bond that can anchor you during any future love journeys you undertake. When you focus on being alone, it's easy to interpret that phrase as lacking a partner. But in reality, you're never truly alone because you always have yourself. The question is, how healthy is your relationship with you? For many, self-neglect creeps in the moment a romantic partner appears, as though personal needs should vanish in the face of someone else's preferences. However, reclaiming that inner relationship can be deeply transformative. Think of treating yourself the way you'd treat a cherished friend. When your friend is upset, you offer understanding and encouragement. You celebrate their victories without jealousy. You make an effort to see them thrive. What if you did the same for yourself? What if, whenever you felt self-criticism rising, you countered it with an internal hug and a kind word instead of harsh judgment? One simple exercise is to schedule dates with yourself. Dedicate an afternoon to exploring a museum, a bookstore, or a scenic walking path, whatever sparks your curiosity. Dress in clothes that make you feel good. Leave your phone on silent if possible, and fully engage in the present moment. This helps you learn what genuinely lights you up, independent of anyone else's tastes. Plus, you practice enjoying your own company, reinforcing that solitude can be a nurturing choice, not a punishing one. Forgiveness is another key component of this self-relationship. You might be harboring regrets about past choices, including staying too long in previous relationships or ignoring red flags. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean condoning mistakes. It means acknowledging your humanity and allowing yourself the freedom to move on. Affirm gently, "I forgive myself for the past. I honor the lessons I've learned and open my heart to a brighter future." As you strengthen this inner bond, you'll likely notice a growing sense of self-respect. You'll be less willing to tolerate disrespectful behavior from others and more inclined to speak your truth openly. This shift can seem daunting at first, especially if you were conditioned to keep the peace at any cost. But over time, it becomes second nature. You find that self-advocacy isn't aggression. It's simply standing tall in your truth. Ultimately, building a new relationship with yourself lays the groundwork for all other relationships to flourish. When you love who you are, you don't settle for half-hearted affections. You bring a spirit of authenticity into every connection, friendships, family bonds, and future romantic possibilities. And if you decide to remain single for a while, that choice feels empowering, not lonely, because you're already fulfilled from within. As we move to the final section, let's bring together everything we've covered: the emotional toll of mismatched connections, the liberation of solitude, and the joy of truly meeting yourself again. The next step is integrating these insights and feeling confident in your decision to be alone rather than in the wrong company. You've journeyed through the key reasons why it can be better to stand in solitude than remain entangled in a partnership that stifles your growth. Maybe you recognized glimpses of your own life in these discussions: the subtle emotional drain, the creeping self-doubt, or the longing to rediscover passions you once held dear. If so, let that awareness empower you rather than burden you. Every insight gained is a step toward more authentic living. Solitude, when embraced from a place of self-love, becomes a sacred space of renewal. In that space, you can hone your emotional and mental clarity, free yourself from the constant noise of a mismatched relationship, and realign with who you truly are. It's like cleaning out an old storage room filled with dusty boxes. The process might be tiring and even stir up old memories, but the end result is an open, airy room ready for new possibilities. Of course, choosing to be alone after leaving or avoiding the wrong relationship doesn't mean you've given up on love. Instead, it's a powerful declaration. I respect myself enough to wait for a connection that honors my worth, or to flourish solo until such a connection appears. In a world that often tells us we need someone else to feel complete, that statement is a radical, uplifting act of self-preservation and self-celebration. If you feel a tug toward a new relationship in the future, you'll approach it with clearer boundaries, deeper self-knowledge, and a healthier perspective. Should you opt for singlehood for an extended period, you'll likely find it filled with rich discoveries, creative pursuits, personal growth, and supportive friendships. Either path can be fulfilling when guided by a strong sense of inner alignment. Now is the time to offer yourself understanding and kindness. Maybe you stayed in the wrong relationship for longer than you wanted, or perhaps you're still in the process of making that leap. Be gentle with your journey. Affirm, I am worthy of love and I have the right to choose solitude if it nurtures my well-being. Each day forward can be a testament to that truth. Remember, being alone isn't about denying love or companionship. It's about refusing to sacrifice your happiness, mental health, and self-respect. It's acknowledging that you deserve a partner who cherishes you as you are. And if such a partner isn't present, it's perfectly valid to bask in your own company. So carry these insights with you, letting them anchor you in moments of doubt. Trust that your path unfolds as it should when guided by self-love and respect. Celebrate your ability to honor your own heart and keep it open for the loving experiences that truly match your essence. You are whole, worthy, and free to craft a life that resonates with your deepest truth, whether shared with another or savored in the sweet company of your own radiant spirit.